that's where we're at with that.
Are we up and go?
Yeah, we're going.
Sweet.
We are live, baby. I don't know where our T guy is yet. He's probably hiding somewhere since I threatened I was gonna beat his ass.
IT guy. Who is that? Tile of Concepts.
Yeah, he's our IT guy, in-house IT. So he's probably hiding somewhere because I told him I was gonna beat his ass. But look at this, 8:30, and we're just starting.
It's
Told
all
you,
good.
track record. We're never on time. So
It's all good.
it
Just
is
me.
what
I
it is.
got.
But
I got the house. It's me and the homie,
look at that guy. So much for home protection.
right?
Um, but yeah, no, this is thanks for being with us. And yeah, we'll go
Yeah, man,
through
this
the
is
whole
cool.
intro.
This is my first live stream. It's my first time
Really?
being live ever on social media.
Really? How's that
Yeah,
feel?
feels good. Feels cool.
Yeah, nervous?
At first it was, but it's not so bad. Kind of just feels like it's me and you.
Dude, it's weird because like I find that a lot of people avoid, including myself, avoid voiceovers.
Dude, it takes me like an hour to try to do the voiceover. Especially, I do everything through Instagram. I don't
Mm.
actually like. I don't edit on the computer. I have before, but I kind of just go straight to Instagram and edit that way. And when I do the voiceover, it's just like it's like I know what I want to say, and I start saying it, and then you start listening to it too much. And I think like with time, as things go on, I'm starting to get better at that. It's just anytime you do anything for the first time, you overthink it, and then you kind of start getting if you record something and you're listening to it and you're like, oh, I sound stupid. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say this. Or someone's going to say something about this or that. And then eventually, like, you kind of just get better at it and that goes away. I think that's probably with
Right.
anybody when they first start.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I don't. I used to use the app for editing,
Hmm.
but I stopped because if you remember, the previous versions didn't have everything that we have now. Like, you can cut the sound
Uh,
by,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it would crash all the time. I would spend an hour doing a video, and all of a sudden it would crash, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god,
My
I just
phone's
lost
like on
everything."
fire. I
Oh
know.
yeah, that thing is
It's
like
just,
freaking. You
or
need.
you put everything together, you finally get it to the way you want to look, and then I go to upload it, and things don't pop up, or like it's like glitchy. That's actually how I got my first viral video. Was a mistake. It's one of my older videos when I was putting strips of lath on the wall to build out to the tub flange, and I put so many text box so people would understand. And in the video, I take a scrap piece of sheetrock, and in the beginning of the video, I slide the sheetrock down the wall and it goes over the tub flange. And people lost their minds. And a lot of people like understood it, but I put text box along the way explaining that I was using Curdy on that one. And I just showed a little, it was like a little 4 inch by 4 inch square block, and I just kind of slid down over it. People lost their minds. And it's at like my best one, it's at like 365,000. I got most of my followers from that video, but I was kind of just like, if those text boxes didn't pop up, or if they did pop up, would the video have been so good? So now in hindsight, when I look back, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe that was a good thing. But I also don't want to make videos that make me look like I don't know what I'm doing, given the type of content that I'm trying to make. Because you know how people will make videos like they'll do something wrong on purpose to get the reaction, to get the comments, to get the ball
Well,
rolling.
well, it's funny because like a lot of my viral videos are doing the right thing,
Yeah, yeah.
but being, oh, who's getting shot?
Everybody's back.
So,
He has a daughter.
um,
She rang the doorbell.
oh, his daughter. But yeah, no, I what you're gonna find a lot of times with viral videos too is I find people like come in and like I recently I recently posted a video of me putting a supply tube to a toilet, right?
Right.
I prefer the pinch clamps over the copper pinch clamps because
Okay.
in order for you to compress those pinch clamps, you need to open up those jaws to an massive amounts of space to
Yeah.
clamp them.
Yeah.
Pinch clamps, you don't have to do that.
That's
Also,
what
bec-
that's what I like about specs.
right. So also because in my area there's a lot of well water,
Uh huh.
stain, stainless steel holds better than everything else.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and the guy came on and he's like, "This is what you get for being a Home Depot plumber." I'm like,
Hmm.
he's like, "Be a real plumber and use Viega." I was, and I was tempted to like be like sponsored by Viega. Um,
Hmm.
like it does. What material you use doesn't make you a pro, man. Like, yes,
I
there
know.
are better materials, if you will. Like even people with shark bites, can you use them? Yes. Should they be
Yeah.
buried in the walls? Uh,
I agree with you. I think most people put them on wrong too, because when you cut the pipe, you're supposed to actually like clean up the sharp edge, and if you don't do that when you slip it on, it can cut the little rubber seal, and that's usually what makes them fail. But I agree with you, not in the wall, but I've seen people like use shark pipe shutoff valves, and I'm just like, if they're in the wall, if they're in the room, you'll see them leak. But the only thing I don't like about them is they spin.
right. I mean,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
the only times I keep shark bites with me.
Mm-hmm.
Caps, valves,
Absolutely.
repair couplings. This is one of those like, let me get it fixed now because it's gonna happen at 3 in the morning or some weird time.
Hmm.
I'll be back and I'll
Yeah.
replace it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's why I keep that. And also when I do my stub outs, I do it in if it's pecs, I use the caps
Yeah.
because then when it comes time to do the roughing, you could just pull them out, not having to
Yeah.
cut, all that stuff. But
Yeah, I did the
that's a
same thing once. I was just showing like a demo, and I stuck the shark bite end caps on the hot and cold line because I had to shut the water off to the person's house. It was like a little half bathroom. I ripped out the sink, I cut the lines and capped them, and like that video ended that way. And then somebody came on there like they start yelling at you like you can't put shark bites in the wall, and I'm just like I thought it was kind of obvious that that wasn't the end product, but it really doesn't matter what you do. Everybody's gonna have something to say.
oh 100%. Like there's so many like. So I had one time with the double TY. You probably saw that I cut that out,
Hmm.
right? Because when you go to snake that, the snake just literally right through the other side.
And that's smart
And
because I don't plumb. That was a good video.
right, and also because because think about it this way, picture it: you're dumping all the water on one sink. Where do you think it's gonna go?
Hmm.
It's gonna go to the other side,
Yeah,
and then you're gonna create a blockage because now you're pushing all the solids that way.
yeah,
So people are like, you need a figure five. Okay, so a figure five is a it's basically like a double TY, but the inlets are a little bit higher than a normal TY. But you could still get through it across.
yeah,
It's better, yes. The cast iron ones are great because they really have a sharp pitch. So there's no
yeah.
way you can get, but it's not efficient. And I cut that out. And one guy was like, "Oh, you never heard of a drop head?" I'm like, "I know what a drop head is. It's a snake that drops on purpose." I
Hmm.
said, "But if it's here and the wall's open, why would I cut this out?"
Hmm.
And then I stacked two TYs one on top of the other, and then now you have individual drains.
Yeah.
But people are like, "Oh, you're a hack." I'm like, "All right, thanks, appreciate the comment."
You can't make everybody happy, and I just kind of feel like it's one of those things where you kind of have to get over what people are going to say, no matter what. Because I go on these guys' pages that whole bunch of followers. They do like immaculate, like crazy good work, and it doesn't matter how good of a guy you find. You go in the comments, people are going to be bitching and moaning down there. So it doesn't really matter. You kind of have to just learn how to get through that. And also, it's social media. Like if people aren't like bugged out in the comments, the post probably didn't do that good. You
Yeah,
know,
no, it's
unless you have
it's
like a funny one or something like that. But like a lot of times, like people go to get people angry in the comments on purpose because it helps the video.
and like,
But I don't
and
always like that approach.
I'm a clown myself, so I'll start like entertaining clown shit. So
Hmm.
my response my response to that is like, yeah, I prefer to solder my PEX joints instead of using clamps, and I like to pack oakum in there too. Like, don't start with me, man. I'm gonna be a clown
Uh-huh.
because you'll hear all kinds of stuff, but it's and social media is not for everybody. It's not,
No,
and
no, and you have to do it all the time, which I definitely know now. Like, it's like I'll get a little streak going. It's been a little bit. I've been bad with it, but if you're consistent with it all the time, just because I work by myself too, so a lot of times I get there and it's like I'm doing the tripod, I'm doing this and that. The job takes longer, or like you can't finish it in the time you said you would because you run around with the camera. And then I feel stupid, and I'm just like, all right, I just gotta get this done and work. And then I end up finishing something, and then I'll be like, yeah, wish I had it on video. So you got to come up with a system too, because you can't just bring the camera in and do it. If you really want to do it and be efficient at work and be good on social media, you have to have like a system to get everything done.
Right. I mean, it all depends, like, too, like, because I think a lot of creators get caught on the I want to
Mm.
record everything
And it's not.
versus the
Sometimes it's the time
I
is
want to
low.
right. So whereas, like, I just want to record, like, me using a pin remover out of a door hinge.
I know, yeah, and like that will go crazy
That
sometimes.
that
You
that
know,
will go stupid viral. It's just literally you with a spring pulling it down and whacking a pin out,
yeah,
and
yeah,
people or how to straighten a hinge using a pair of adjustable wrenches. You just take the pin out, bend it to
yeah.
where you need it, and hey, we're done.
I
Ta-da!
think that's actually pretty cool, that tool, because I started out as a window and door installer. I just started getting into bathroom work maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and I really like started to enjoy the tile work. And I did so much on my own house. Me and my wife here, from redoing the kitchen and the bathroom and floor tile, backsplash, everything. I started getting into that, and then do a little bit of friend and family kind of thing, and now I'm kind of into that point where I'm doing like actual like paid work, and I can do the bathroom start to finish. I have an electrician, but
He's like, I'm actually getting paid now. It's
yeah.
fucking
So
awesome.
and it's really enjoyable. I love tile work, but like my expertise started out with windows and doors, residential. My dad was a window and door contractor, and he subcontracted from Home Depot. So anytime someone went to Home
Oof.
Depot and got a job, what I mean, they sold the job, everything, and then they would call you up, give you the job, and then just they pay you like a flat rate per window, this and the other thing. And they were really busy for a while. And I did that for like 10 years. So that's why you see on my page, I do a lot of like entry door installs. That's why I learned how to do that. But now
Right,
the
right,
tile
right.
too. So now I'm kind of like working it in all together. So some people will call me up when they want me to do something that I haven't done before, and I'll say no, and they get all confused because they always think that you've done every single thing for like 100 years already. But I started out
Right.
doing that.
Well, that's that. See, like with me, like plumber by trade, you know, jack of all of everything else. Tile it was a passion, if you will. I did a bathroom because somebody asked me to do it.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I'm OCD when it comes to information, so I
Yeah.
literally sat there for days reading about every single system that was out the known man and how
Uh-huh.
to use it. So
Yeah.
I got it down to a science. I was like, I could
Yeah.
literally sit here and teach a 5-year-old or what a Schluter shower system can be.
Yeah.
So I got it down to that system, and then when I did it, I was like, holy shit, I actually kind of enjoy this, and
Yeah.
it's like relaxing. Well, first of all, it's not relaxing. It's stressful.
When you
You're
get good
angry.
at it, it's relaxing. When you're starting out, it's a nightmare.
Oh no, it's always a nightmare. You start off like, yeah, this is awesome, and then you look at the wall and you're like, how the hell am I gonna fix this shit, man, without having to like retile the whole re sheetrock the whole house?
Hmm.
And then you start worrying about layouts. Like, oh my god, the tile's gonna end up here, this and that and that and that, and then like at the end, you're
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's pretty good, man. It was good,
yeah.
but
But once you get past that stage where you can kind of look at something and you already know the steps, you're like, I gotta do this, this, and that.
oh yeah,
You
once you
don't
get
have to
it to
think
that,
much.
like I've never actually, you know what? I've never actually counted how many bathrooms I've done.
Hmm.
I don't think I even know the actual number, but like I got it down now when I walk in and I'm like, all right, 12 by 24, niche is going to go here, Jolly's going to finish here, shower head
Yeah.
here. And the customer's like, okay.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I've
that's
done
cool.
I've
I
done a
can't,
few that are full guts, but a lot of the work too is just like somebody just wants to shower. So you just go in
right.
and gut the shower and redo that.
Which a lot of people think that's simple. They're like, oh no, you're
No,
just going to cut the shower. I'm like, no,
no.
no.
Yeah.
Like everything else has to match this new shower, which now,
It
Hey,
is.
you guys are early. Sorry about that. We had a big traffic thing, and I spent 10 minutes finding my headset. So, excuse me for being late.
So good.
I'm
I'm
going to beat
actually
your ass.
the king of being late, so no worries over here.
Dude, it's
But
bad.
we already started, like we're having a heavy conversation. We haven't even done the intro because this was going to be one of those unusual episodes. So, all thanks to the IT guy who's late,
Mhm.
has had hair, and his camera right now sucks. It's got like really bad. It's got like film. You look kind of white right now, pasty. Like I
Well,
get
good news for you. I actually am half white. So, um,
my man Spanish and Middle Eastern. Don't get it twisted.
Anyway, sorry about that. I'm Jeremiah with Talent Concepts. I'm sorry for being. I really apologize for being late. It's for some
All
reason
good.
someone decided to park sideways on the highway. So, yeah.
But yeah,
All good,
so
right?
he's
So continue.
our in-house IT guy that gets beaten every day because he does these kinds of things. But anyway, so yeah, so when you do just the showers, people are always like, "Oh, you just a shower, right? It's simple,
It's the most
2-3
expensive
days
part of the
tops."
bathroom. What do you mean?
It's like, so they start with the, "Oh yeah, 2-3 days." I love that one. They're like, "Yeah, 2-3 days, right?" And I'm like, to acquire the materials.
Well, the other thing too with that, when I first started doing them, I didn't really understand how difficult some of the installs were. And I remember somebody asked me to do that, and I gutted out the shower, and they wanted subway tile. And I underestimated how much time something like that would take. It still came out good, everything was fine, and they were happy. But after doing it for a while, it's like you got to learn like what's going to take long and what's going to go quick and what's not going to go quick, and know how to give a response quickly so you don't get pressured into being like giving them a quick price and then getting there and being like, holy shit, this is
Well,
so much worse than I
so
thought it
so
was.
you learned a few steps. Number one, subway tile, charge more. Got it.
Oh yeah. Oh
Number
yeah.
two, black
I'll never
grout,
do that
charge
again.
more.
Don't
Black
even
grout,
talk about
charge
black
more.
grout.
He was doing black grout today, so
Don't
it's
even
like
talk
black
about
grout,
it.
charge extra. Like,
It was like
yes,
85 degrees in that house doing black grout.
yeah.
I was scrubbing.
Wait, was it a FA grout too?
No, it was a Latticrete.
Oh,
Only
okay,
the
so you're
best.
lucky.
Hey, there's the business partner.
Ow, and she's gone. But no, because if it was FA, if you've worked with FA, right?
Oh, FA in the heat, bro. No, I got Latticrete for that exact reason because the AC was off.
So you ever work with FA?
No.
Okay, so FA is Mapei's
Rapid
Okay,
grout.
yes.
grout.
Yes.
So
Okay. Then yes.
okay, so the problem with FA is you smear it and you wipe it instantly because it will literally dry on you. So that's not the kind
Yes.
of grout that you want to do. I'm sure you made that mistake. This isn't the wall that you want to spear a whole 2 walls and you're like, yeah, I'll come back and wipe it. And next thing you're like, oh shit.
No. Yeah. And you're sitting there trying to scrub it for hours.
Oh
Yep.
God.
It turns into
That's-
you're kind of
especially
sponging the
if the
whole
tile-
floor to keep it hydrated so you can come back and wipe it later.
A reflection on it, it's not like a matte finish tile, and you got the lights in the shower, like you can see every single spot that isn't cleaned off properly, and you got to sit
FA
there,
plus heat gives me
try with a
PTSD.
razor blade or whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's bad. FA, and then like when I first got into FA, I used to always use Latticrete, but then one of the customers brought FA. I was like, oh, this looks good. First of all, I don't know if it's just me, but does FA have a certain smell to it when you start mixing it? It's like a sweet smell.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I it's kind of like a weird sweet
I've
smell.
never,
To it.
I actually, now that you mentioned that, because I have thought that before. I'm like, it almost smells like it's like, I know it's not food, but it kind of makes it smell
Yeah,
good.
it's got like a good smell to it. Which like I know it's probably gonna kill us eventually, but
Yeah,
it's
no, I'm
it's
not trying to breathe it all in, but when you mix it, it does have a distinct smell.
That sweet smell of silica. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So yeah, no, I did the first one, and I remember doing the whole subway wall with FA, and then I was like, all right, this is great. I was like, all right, let me start on the other one. But for some reason, I just looked over. I was like, that looks dry. And then I went back with the sponge, and I was like, oh, it's not coming off. Like, so I
Yeah.
had to go get the scrub. Like they have this like pad with a scrub on it to like literally scrub
Yeah,
it.
with the handle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm shaping grout lines there. I'm like, this is insane. So then I look over at my bucket; it's already all cured up. I'm like, oh god. And then
I
also
used to make,
mixing it.
Yeah,
I
see,
used to make the sorry. Go ahead.
he said the mixing. I have for the longest struggled with mixing FA, and I called the buddy that taught me tile, and I'm like, dude, it's like I had too much water, I had too much grout. He's like, wait until you think you have too much grout in there, and then just like keep mixing. Like he's like, trust me, just keep mixing. Eventually, it'll start to whip up. And then I did that, and then on it was a commercial job, summer, no windows, no air conditioning. I just smeared it on the floor. It's the first time I dealt with it in like non-air conditioning. Oh, dude, it was bad. I'm sitting there like sponging water on the floor so it doesn't cure as fast. I'm scrubbing, just kind of like wiping everything down to keep it wet, and then come back and kind of wipe and scrub. I was shaping it with a little grout line tool, the little the QEP triangle one, just kind of shaping it. Oh, it was bad. I got home. I was like, I want a beer.
The Home Depot tool.
Yeah, the Home Depot tool.
Speaking of
We
Home
don't
Depot
talk about
towel,
QEP.
guys. But no, so yeah, if you've ever had experience with Q, we always like any tile guy or anybody I talk to, I'm like, if you're doing FA, small batches, like small sections, don't get carried away, especially Subway. Don't get carried away. You're like, oh man, I'm out, grouting out.
Yep. I used to do such a big patch at one point, and then if you can't get to it in time, you have to put it on, and you have to know that you need to go back and wipe it, but you can't wipe it too soon because you take it out of the grout line. You have to kind of give it the right amount of time to kind of set up so you can get it off easy, but you're not taking it out of the grout lines either.
Well, what I do is I touch the grout line. If it still sticks to my finger, it's too wet. Once it starts to like where it's not tacky anymore, that's when I start to wipe.
Yeah.
Now, if it's black though, because of the sheer amount of like wiping you got to do, I'll just do like a light pass, even just to like moisten the surface of it and just kind of knock it down. And then I do at least 3 to 4 passes with black grout, just because it sucks.
With me and the Subways, I would always start at the bottom because by the time I got to the top, the bottom was already dry. So that was the way for me to gauge it. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this wall, get to the top, go down there, start scrubbing. So by the time I get to the top, we're good.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And then that's when I found out the FA could cure. And like the mixing, like you said, you pour water, is like, so you're either going to have grout or you're going to have self-level. Like there's no in between the first time you use it. You're just like, you're going to be able to pour it on the floor and it's just going to go under the tiles because it's just going to go
I knew a contractor like that. He damn near poured self-leveler, bro. He just like splashed it on the floor, wiped it around. He's like, oh, that's good. I'm like, use mastic for everything. And I was like, I've got a video of me using a leaf blower and blowing his tile off of the floor. It's 2x2. It was hilarious.
Oh shit. We never got to this. We never got to this part since the IT guy decided to show up late. Where are you located?
Me? I'm in North Jersey in Parsippany.
I'm sorry.
Y'all can't drive. I'm sorry.
Where are you from?
Jeremiah. Me?
Yeah.
I'm from North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
But I sometimes drive through Jersey to go meet up with Omar, and y'all can't drive. I want to pit people on the turnpike. That's how bad it is.
I don't have to do too much driving on the turnpike. I do more like Route 80 and Garden State Parkway. That's like
Garden State Parkway. Like, how close are you to the stinky factories?
Oh yeah, I could smell Jersey.
I mean, they don't call it the armpit of the world for no reason.
I'm like very close to Giant Stadium. Take me maybe like from my house like 15, 20 minutes if there's no traffic.
Nice.
But also you can keep going. You can go right to New York City. So I kind of have like, not that you really want to go there too much, but you can kind of get there whenever you want.
New York
Once
City
you get above DC, I don't want to go up even further. Once I hit Maryland, I'm like, this sucks.
I can see I can feel my freedom being stripped away as I go north, which is ironic because of slavery. You went north for freedom, but so it's kind of an ironic thing. But
everybody's angry out here, especially when you're on the road.
Dude,
you have to be aggressive. Like blinkers are pointless.
Dude, I gave this kid, and I'm pretty sure he was in his mom's Audi, a run for his money on the turnpike last time I was up there. He kept trying to get in my lane, and you were driving like an asshole, so I decided to speed up, not let him in. Oh, that dude was fucking pissed. And we did that for like 5 miles.
Yeah, people will go nuts. You can see, even like you go out on the road, you see somebody road raging. Just how it is here.
It's Jersey,
nobody
man.
lets you go. You don't use your blinkers, because if you use your blinkers, like that's what happens. So if you let them know you're going to turn, then they don't let you turn.
Yeah, I found that out when I went up there, bro. As soon as I put my blinker on, they started tightening up. I was like, bro, all right, I'm getting in your lane, especially when it's a car. I'm like, I got a truck. I'm bigger than you. This is called a turn signal. I'm letting you know that I'm about to enter your lane. It's not a turn request. Yep. Like,
yeah, no, Jersey is
you better be doing 80 or
anything above Richmond Interstate is a full contact sport. So true.
Yeah, no. The last time I went to Jersey, where was Trenton, New Jersey? I went there, and I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, I don't ever want to come back here. Y'all just crazy.
Yeah. Everybody's
Jersey's
crazy.
crazy.
It's just you're kind of used to it though when you live here. It just becomes normal.
Well, it's like anything else. Like just like when you live in New York City, like so you'll see that in my area now, right? So I'm in Dutchess County, which is like it's not upstate New York. It's just
Uh-huh.
literally north of Westchester. Like that's
Hmm.
how. So a lot of people are like, oh, you're in upstate New York. Like no, Ithaca is upstate New York, like 6 hours north. But so you see people from the Bronx come up here, and they're moving into my area. One of the biggest giveaways is traffic lights. So when you're in the Bronx and that light, I'm talking like halfway through, is extinguishing from red to green, they're already hitting the
Yeah.
horn.
Yes.
Like, yo, you got to creep into the signal. Like, you have to roll
Yeah.
into that light. That's the
Yeah.
Bronx. You have to literally, like, if you see the yellow on the other side, start rolling.
You get a 1 second grace period after
That's
that.
it. And then they're on you. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? We're up here. Like, nobody
We're
races up here.
civilized up here. Calm down.
When I go anywhere else but Jersey, I'm always like, wow, people are so nice around here. You forget how grumpy people are.
Yeah, you
They're
walk around with your
slower though.
guard up. You walk
What?
around with your guard up. Like, what do you want? What do you want? It's like we're
Yeah.
just trying to be nice.
Yeah, because nobody just has like friendly conversations. So like if you approach someone, well, some people do. I'm being exaggerating, but you know, if you kind of go up to somebody out of the blue and start talking to them, they're like mad that you even talk to
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you want?
them. Hmm.
Like, Jesus, I'm just saying the day is nice. Get out of my
Yeah,
face.
I know. They're like that's too weird. Like being nice to somebody out here almost like makes you put your guard up. Like, what are you trying to do right now?
Well, I think that's also a New York thing. Like anybody from New York,
Yeah,
like we go anywhere, somebody comes over, they'd be nice to you. Be like, all right, what do you want? Like,
yeah.
what's the angle? What's
Nah,
your
bro.
angle?
What gets y'all is I go up there and like, thank you, ma'am. And like you say ma'am or sir. And every time I said that when I was up there, like, where
Nobody
you
says
from?
that.
I was like,
Yeah,
North
nobody
Carolina.
says that.
Yeah, no, and
Zero, ma'am, up here.
Yeah.
in my area there might be more because it's still farm town up here, so you will hear that kind of.
Okay, maybe if you're in Sussex.
And when I
Yeah,
walk up there in camo, bro, they're like, "What you
yeah,
hunting?" I was like, "Honestly, these are just $5 at Walmart, so
yeah.
they were just free hunting gear, it's spare clothes."
No, because he's like my town is small, and then he
Uh-huh.
came up here, and it's like he would just stick out. Like everybody was like, "What's this man doing here?" Like,
Yeah.
and
Immediately lose 30 points for my IQ.
that's like in my area is like they since it's a small community. I'm sure you see this in Jersey too. Like everybody knows everything. So as
Hmm.
soon as anybody that does not belong in that area pops up, all the red flags and antennas go up. Everybody's like on guard. Like, who is this guy? Why is
There's
he
an
in my
inbred in town. There's an inbred in town.
Okay, so I told you about Onion Town, or I
What is on
didn't.
your tongue?
So it's about 20 minutes north from where I live,
Hmm.
and it's actually a street, but they call it Onion Town. What happens is in that street is there's a bunch of inbreds that live there, and yes, and it got so bad that like cops wouldn't even go into there because these guys are sitting in their porch with a shotgun in their hand, like they will shoot you.
Y'all have a
Oh,
street. We
I
have a
know
whole
what that
state. It's
is. I know
Alabama.
what
We
that
just
is.
Right? You
I
heard of
know.
Onion Town?
Yeah, I didn't know it was called Honeytown, but yeah, they're like a whole. It's almost like real life. The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes, it's literally like that, and
And
they
if
used
you
to
go
put
there,
like.
like they'll like run you out.
Yes. So like at one point they literally like the cops were like, we're just not even gonna go in there. Like we're not even gonna bother. Like and
Yeah.
then turns out that like they don't want to be bothered either. Like they just want to
No.
be left alone. But
I
because
heard
of
there was
their
an
situation,
albino community, to be honest with you.
so it turns out that like they didn't want to be bothered, and like they tried to go to school, but people were picking on them, so they like kind of like had to stay back.
Uh-huh.
And when you drive through there, you'll see like they'll throw trash on the tracks. They used to put like shopping carts to see the train hit it.
Yeah.
And then a couple of like people that worked on the train said they would take pop shots at the train as it was going by. It's like it's some crazy shit. But they live like 10, 15 minutes north of my house. You can go and see that
Where they
if
just
you
hang
want.
out there though. They don't go. They don't come out and cause trouble. They only cause trouble
No,
when they
no,
go in.
they kind of now like isolated, but like you can't go drive down that road and be like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Like they're gonna shoot you.
Damn.
It's Onion Town, and I know there's like documentaries on it and stuff, which is crazy.
Sounds like angry Amish people.
Oh,
They don't
No,
like
I just
it.
remember being in town. That guy was like, "What are you hunting?" I was like, "Well, nothing now." And he was like, and we started talking, and I was like, "How many tags y'all get up here?" They're like 3. I'm like, or no, they said like 2. I was like 2. Like we get like 6, and I'm pretty sure we can buy 2 more. And he's like, "You get 6?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like we got to eat down here.
How is it? So in your area, right? So you're a general contractor,
Yeah.
um, who focuses on, obviously you said doors and windows was your entry point to the blue collar world, if you will,
Yep. Yep.
and switching over to now bathrooms and kitchens.
Yeah. I have not taken kitchens, but I like to do full bathrooms.
Mm.
Full
Why not
bathrooms.
kitchens?
I just haven't actually gotten through to like doing. I've done cabinets. I haven't done a kitchen start to finish. So I did mine. Like I've done them before, but I wouldn't probably take a job doing a full kitchen yet for a paying customer. So it's like I know how to do it, but I don't feel like I'd be able to do a full kitchen good enough where I would actually do that. With bathrooms, I feel much more comfortable with setting tubs and the plumbing work with it, tile, and all that kind of stuff.
I feel like
Mhm.
kitchens come second because, like, to bathroom remodelers, if you will, because once you think about it, it's kind of similar. You're just not dealing with the wet areas. I mean, you're kind of dealing
Yeah.
with all the same trades. All it
Yeah.
is just no wet area and a lot more cabinets.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
as long
Which
as
is
you
a
got the
weird.
cabinet design down, you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done all the cabinets and all that kind of stuff, and I don't even use like a plumber for most of the stuff I do. I'll install all the appliances myself, toilets, I'll do sinks, sink traps, tub drains, all that kind of stuff. Which is all self-taught, kind of like what you were saying before about how you like when you get into it, you just start watching things. Social media helps so much with that, being able to watch people do things. I'm just like, I call myself I'm a YouTube University graduate. So if I need to
I
learn
mean,
something, I just hop on there and I just watch.
YouTube certified.
YouTube certified.
Yeah, no, and then like
Everything I did was on my own house first. Good.
it's funny
It
because I
hasn't
saw
fallen over yet.
it's like the one cabinet door closes by itself, but yeah, but it was a reel that said you got to call the plumtrician because
Yeah.
somebody grounded a piece of pipe and like he didn't ground it, he put a hot lead on the pipe.
Oh,
So the guy,
shit.
so the
Oh,
guys
I
in
saw
the
that with the
you saw
sponge
that?
coming out of the sink.
Yeah, he's like, you
Yeah.
need to call the plumtrician.
Jeez.
Oh, that was a great one, man. But yeah, no, like a lot of the stuff I feel like with these, especially now, because like, right, blue collar was either you had to work, join the trade at a young age, or your family pushed you into it, or you were just had to go with your dad because you didn't have babysitting at the time, so you had to learn a trade at the same time. That was kind of
Yes.
like the entryway to everybody around in New York into the trades. It's like you came with your dad because he had no babysitting, so you learned how to lay tile because you were there.
Hmm.
And but now it's like people can actually pick up these skills, like you said, through social media, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
and having the connections. Like you can reach out to me, you can reach out to him, you can literally reach out to anyone. And if you have really good installers, 90% of them, I would say, will be like glad to help you because they enjoy it. You
Hmm.
reach out with a question, they're like, "Yeah, you want to do this, you want to do that," so they'll literally help you out. It's kind of crazy. Even
Yeah,
like
that's what's the cool part about social media and meeting people.
right, and like you pick up certain tricks and tips, like I did with the whole like TY, and people are like, "Oh, I never thought about it." Like,
Yeah.
and, and totally legal. You can use it by code, but
Hmm.
it's not the most optimal way to do it.
Yeah.
And
Whenever you start out with, it's totally legal. You kind of have to
I'm
question it.
gonna
It's
have to
totally
question that.
legal.
No, so it's by code you can use a double TY. It's like you could do
Oh,
that
you
for double
speaking French
sinks.
again.
So the little T that goes like this, remember? Two sinks. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but
I'm gonna shut up.
so and then that's the other thing too. Like I'm sure you run into a lot of old plumbing that used to be code back in the day.
Hmm.
That you're like, how did this even become code?
Right.
Like, you'll run into that if you do. What's the age usually of the houses you work in? 80s, 60s.
Yeah, I did a real old one, which was pretty hard. Laugh walls. So there's a town, Morristown, that's by me. It's kind of
Hmm.
like a historical town in New Jersey, and they
Hmm.
have like super old houses from like 1900. So some of them are like 100 years old and they're a little bit more.
Well, there was
So I did
house
a
before
full
there was
bathroom.
plumbing, and they retrofitted the house for plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have some of
He's
those in my area.
Yeah, he has.
Especially with
But
electrical.
typically newer than that. But yeah, I've been in the ones.
Right. Yeah, no, in my area it's like, so my area is vacation lake house area.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh
the
yeah.
homeowners were literally like, do whatever you want. You just roll up and start building your lake house. They would not insulate it because they wouldn't come here in the wintertime. And then
Mm-hmm.
people start living in these houses. Like, you literally have houses with
My
absolutely
house.
no insulation.
My house.
2x4 floor joists with a shit ton
Yeah.
of like janky bracing.
Oh yes, and like stones as like the collars to hold the floor joist.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been to those crawl spaces. I'm sure you've been under your house too, and you're like, how did I not collapse down here?
Mm-hmm. The house that I'm in, they used to be a long time ago. They used to be vacation homes, like you were saying. So they wouldn't bother with insulation like that because people would use it in the summertime. So they would just winterize the pipes and leave them because nobody lived in the houses in the wintertime. So when I was doing my renovations here, it's like half of my house it has insulation. But have you ever seen? It looks like like the emergency blankets that look like tinfoil.
Yes.
That's what it looks like. One side is like a tar paper, the other side is like a reflective tinfoil, and it's about the same thickness as
Yeah.
tinfoil, just stuffed in the
Yeah.
wall. It's not
That was
fiberglass. It's just
that thing was
super
R.
thick
That
metal.
was R1. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's all you were getting. It's just to prevent the breeze from going between the planks, essentially.
That's it. So I ended up when I redid the kitchen, that was a full gut. So we would do the kitchen, I would rip everything out, insulate the whole thing, move on to the bathroom, rip that out. Before my son was born, we had the other bedroom. I gutted that one because it didn't have insulation. Had to put insulation in the ceiling, the walls, everything like that. So now the whole back of the house has insulation, but the whole front of the house is still the same because we didn't like do a full gut and everything. We just fixed kind of what we had to, which was kitchen, bathroom, and get the room ready for him.
So
We have
you
like
just
wood siding houses, and every once in a while, a squirrel will gnaw his way into the stud wall, and you'll just see like
Mm-hmm.
a shit ton of like just stuff just stashed in there, from like
Mm-hmm.
paper to like twigs and shit like that.
I love
You open
finding
it,
stuff on the wall.
yeah. Oh no, when the last time I went up there with Omar, we pulled out a wall. I think we found newspapers from like 1950s.
Yep.
And there was like some stuff in there. Like, I'm an outdoor person, so they had like outboard motors for boats, and they had like a 15 horsepower, and it was like $400. And I was like, a 15 horsepower now is like $3,000. So I sent it to my grandfather, and it was interesting to see all the prices because it was like a grocery list. It was news at the time, and then like promotional sales.
Oh, you're
I
talking.
like the
You're
real
talking.
estate ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, they're
He's
selling a
talking
house for a
about.
nickel.
That's too expensive.
Yeah.
No, that one was the one that had 4 layers of sheetrock.
Oh yeah.
Yes, 4 layers of sheetrock in every single wall in that bath. They just kept building.
They
Like,
didn't need
bother
insulation. They
taking that.
just added more.
Every single time, new sheet.
Dude, like when we finally finished, there was like
It
a
took us like
1/2 inch.
3 or 4 days to fully demo that bathroom.
Yeah, it was bad. And then the window casing, since they built it to the new sheetrock, we had like a 3/4 of an inch sticking out into the room because it was now that size. So we had to like literally take a multi-tool and trim it down to size.
Yeah.
It was just wild. The
You got to
houses,
do
and I
that in
get
the old homes too. Everything was like wider. Everything's bigger back then. Now everything is like cut down.
well, yeah,
Well,
we're getting
especially like
shrinkflation.
single
That's
pane
why.
wooden windows. A lot of those things are like built in place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, where you go to like Pella or Anderson and get some custom windows made and they have to fit the jam thickness. They have like preset jam thicknesses. This wasn't like someone took an extra set of 1x material and like grafted it on and nailed it in place. Like, it was one piece. And we're like, what the fuck? Someone custom made this and didn't tell them that, hey, your wall's fucked up. But
yeah, no. So that's pretty much how it works in our area. And I mean, your area is similar. Now with the bathrooms, how, like, now that you're comfortable doing tile, what's the largest bathroom you've done to date?
Largest bathroom? Probably like the one that on my page right now. That's at the top of the page. That size was maybe Not very big. I'm trying to think. Maybe like I can't even remember, but basically like a full tub, shower, twin vanity, and toilet with maybe a couple, maybe like 10 extra square feet. Kind of like where you're in there comfortably, but I haven't done like a large master huge bathroom before. They're all pretty much like your standard size walk-in
Oh, so you're
full
basically
bath.
you're either in the 5x8s with a tub or the 5x8s with a stand-up shower.
Hmm.
That's our go-to bathroom in our area. Unfortunately, like every house from
Yeah, I work
Jersey
by
up.
myself too,
I
so
mean,
it's
that's like
like I enjoy it.
that's the bathroom that's in like every home in America, one way or the other. So
5x8s, and sometimes the 5x8s with the with the tub included in that 5x8, or it's tucked in on the side. So if you have it
yeah,
tucked in on the side, that's great. You got the most room.
Yeah, usually they are tucked in on the side.
Yep. Because the builders, right? I forget which one, and it's not. I don't know if it's Tall Brothers that like took over all the building of like pretty much every home on the East Coast, and
Hmm.
like you could literally go from like Jersey to New York to Connecticut, and the layout of the houses would literally be the same. They don't change.
Oh yeah, you see that all the time over here. Even on the
So
outside, they're just like they're not cookie cutter. I wouldn't call them that, but like whoever the builder is, when they build them all, they just like rinse and repeat. Maybe they kind of change like the ridge on the roof a little bit or something, but the layouts are usually the same or they're mirrored.
well,
yeah, because
actually, and one thing that I we learned in architecture when I was in school is that a lot of these homes, when they build them, the floor plans, even though they're slightly different, they're all modular. So that's why they're all square, because you can take these and you can like pair the closet, the washroom, all that stuff. You can connect it together and pretty much get the same size house with a different floor plan.
Hmm.
So that was one thing they were teaching us when we were trying to make a what they called a universal build. So you're able to take any part of the house and move it to any other part of the house, and the only thing that would change, of course, would be plumbing. But essentially, all of it could fit in the same footprint of the house.
Hmm.
that's interesting.
So, but we do. That's what in our area we got a lot of like single story ranch homes on a slab. So it's basically just a big ass rectangle.
Hmm.
So as
Yeah,
long as
for
you're
I'm sure in your area is what the Raised Ranch, right?
Yes,
Stairs
raised
down the
range
middle.
and split levels.
Yeah, so stairs down the middle. As soon as you open the door, up and down. Living
Hmm.
room to the right side, kitchen straight to the back.
Hmm.
So and then the bedrooms to the left.
That's
One
the job I'm
bathroom.
doing next week is exactly that. I'm replacing. I told you I do a lot of doors. They just bought a uh, 36 by 80 with side lights from Home Depot. So I'm installing that, and then right when you walk in, like you said, you have that landing there. I have to demo out the tile that's there, the tile that landing,
Hmm.
and then change the trim and finish the outside. And then that's going to be another tile job after that. I try not to count money that I didn't make yet, because a lot of times people say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this," and then it doesn't happen. But that'll be another good one coming up where I'm
We'll
tiling the
try
entire
to.
first
Well,
floor.
so when you do these estimates, you don't try to lump it up all in one.
I did on this one. So this door, I gave him a price. I gave him a price for the front door, finishing the outside. It has like large, wide fluted molding. So
Hmm.
it's either got to come off because we didn't talk about that right away in the beginning. So I got to look at it. So if it's rotted and shitty, I have to take it off and replace it. But if it's savable, he wants me to kind of like fill in manholes kind of thing and paint the outside of it, install the entry door. He's got a lot of steps too. I have to bring a couple of guys to get the door in on that one. But change that out, interior trim, and then tile. So I clump that all together with the tile and the door and the inside and outside finish with trim. And then that'll be one job. And then he has to work a little bit. And then I'm going to do his downstairs where it's tile already, but the whole first floor is got to come out and it's a concrete slab. So I'm going to have to do some
Mm,
sort of
cup
membrane, something
grinding.
going on.
So you're gonna do a lot of cup grinding.
Hmm.
A lot.
see for short, we call that fiddle fucking.
Yeah, so basically, you're gonna have to cup grind pretty much most of the floor. If you had a really good tile guy there, you're really gonna need to cup grind because you're gonna have a nice, perfect, thick layer of mud.
Yeah.
And as far as what would you put on the slab? Uncoupling membrane?
Yeah. As long as it's not doesn't have any like right now the tile's not cracked, so I don't think there's any settling issues or anything like that where
What
it's
about the
already starting to
moisture?
go.
How's the moisture in that basement?
It's not exactly below grade like that. It's not a basement, but it is a couple feet below grade.
That's one of the things that I always thought about because if you were
It's
to
not
use
like
a
where the
deep,
windows are up top.
right, like my house, 2 walls are underground,
Hmm.
and then the rest are, well, 3 walls are underground. The other one is not.
The
So
third
my
wall is
thing,
about halfway underground,
well,
or like
by
2/3.
the garage, yeah, two
Yeah.
thirds. But my thing was, I always wanted to make sure there's no moisture because if you think about it, let's say you put down Detra,
Hmm.
which is waterproof.
Right.
So now you're gonna lock all
But
the
not
moisture
from
under it,
underneath, from the top.
right? But I'm
Yeah.
saying you're gonna lock in that moisture, which is gonna just make things pop out eventually because it's just gonna keep
Hmm.
hydrating that thin set over and over and over again. That's why I was like checking to see if the moisture, how's the
Well,
moisture down there.
the tile that's on right now, there's nothing wrong with it. He just doesn't like it, and it's been there for a bit, and nothing's popped. He's also on a large hill, so he's not like down at the bottom where you would have like flooding or anything,
Mm.
be a lot of water. So it's a very hilly area because there's like when you park, like I know for the front door, I'm gonna have to get guys have to bring the door from his garage and like walk up a whole bunch of steps outside to get to his front door. The downstairs job is fine because I can go through the garage and everything's right there. But it's
Mm.
basically it's not that deep below ground. I don't know if I have to worry about it all that much. But my plan
Well,
was to just demo it, use the uncoupling membrane, and possibly what would you do? Would you paint down like a
I think I
or
would
would you
paint
just
on
like,
that one. Unless it's like you see visible cracks. I think a crack
there's not
isolation.
that's what I was looking for.
I would just paint the crack isolation on top because the set to run Detra, you're also going to raise it because more than
Mhm.
likely they tiled right into the mortar.
Yeah.
So it all depends to see what you find up there. You know what I mean? I would say at the minimum, roll some like red guard type ish, not red guard, but
Yeah, I know.
What'd you say? You shut your mouth.
and so, but like you can use any other one of
Shame.
those at the top. Shame, Home
In my
Depot
old house,
tile.
before I even really like knew too much about the uncoupling membranes that they have, I just cleaned up the concrete floor that was down there, and I just red guarded it, and then I tiled directly to that, and everything's looking pretty good since. But I probably wouldn't do that again. I would definitely use an uncoupling membrane moving forward because at that time, years ago, when we first bought the house, I didn't know about the cracking, so I
Yeah.
definitely do the uncoupling membrane to prevent that.
Well, surprisingly, a lot of this stuff wasn't as readily available until like recently. So like Red Guard, especially when you're going to
Yeah,
like
it's what I'm
Lowe's
saying.
and Home Depot, that was like the most readily accessible and known thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, outside of like Lady Creep, but I don't know what else has been around that much longer.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's it's a product that works. People just give them shit because it's a Home Depot thing. So
Yeah, I've used
and
Latipre
it smells
before,
like crap.
but so does the Latipre. It's just like the blue version. That's all it is. It smells exactly the same and it looks exactly the same.
Huh.
You're not supposed to huff the can, man.
I'm not, but when you pop that thing open, this shit is strong.
I wasn't trying.
You can't
He's
not
like, I
smell it.
wasn't trying to taste color
And then
yellow, but
I've been watching videos. People are using PPE for Red Guard, and I was just like, is that a thing? Because
No, dude, if
we
you're in
use
a
a lot.
small room, bro, it'll get you up there.
um, I'll put a vent on. I don't know about wearing like PPE, if you will. Like
I
if I
see
have
people
no
use it
ventilation.
like
I mean,
full
you
vent.
probably should be putting a respirator on.
Yeah,
In all reality, it's just most
that's what I'm
people
saying.
don't.
Is the Graham gonna like that? Probably not. So
I mean, I've
we're
gotten
not.
used to it. The only thing, and
Mhm.
Omar's been through this. If you ever use like epoxy, I
Oh,
was like,
Yeah.
open a window because it'll get you high. And he comes in and he's like, bro, that shit's strong. I was like, really?
Mhm.
I've used it for like 5 years, so I'm used to it by now. But like the
Yeah.
whole top floor smells like this epoxy.
Yeah.
do you also do epoxy? Do you know how to do epoxy?
No, I know what he's talking about, but no, I don't do it.
Omar came in
Mm,
like, how many
Like the
colors do you
epoxy
smell me
floors,
holding up?
like for people do with the garage.
No. This is like tile, like epoxy
no.
for tile, like the miters to do chip repairs, what they use to join
Oh, okay.
countertops together.
Yeah, no, I've dabbled with that
Yeah.
on my own over here, but
That
I
floor
do not
epoxy
know
will
about yet.
that floor
Yeah.
epoxy is strong too. So any epoxy
Yeah.
because of that chemical off gassing is generally makes you smell
Maybe I could
colors.
ask you because I always see people using the epoxy, and I've been watching it, and that's something I want to start doing. And I have the epoxy, I have the hardener, but it basically just comes with it's the epoxy's kind of it's not translucent exactly, it's kind of foggy. What do you
Mhm.
use to color match? Is there any specific
What
thing, something you can use, can't use,
what
or
brand do you have? What epoxy brand do you have?
I have to go
10X?
look at it. I bought it a while back. It's like a weird funky can, and it has like it's like black and like lime green.
Black and lime
10.
green. That might
That
actually,
is that's 10x.
yeah. So 10X has their own coloring kit. I use Superior coloring kit just because that's what I've been using for years and years. So I've used the VMAX SV9,
Okay.
and I use a Superior coloring kit. In all reality, they're all the same. You could probably, more than likely, you can mix the colors like between brands. I don't think it would cause an issue. The only
Mhm.
thing is I would let the hardener that the brand requires, like if I would use 10-axis hardener, I would use VMAX's hardener with their product.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it just comes in a coloring kit, it comes in a pack, and you just kind of if you got like an artistic eye, you just kind of mix it slowly. Be very, very careful with black. When I say
Like
careful, I'm like dip a
like
shim in it and then
so
flick it and then dip it into it because you'll taint your whole batch of color if
like
you use too
the
much
tip
black.
Right.
of this knife
Yeah.
is the amount of black you want when you're mixing. It'll literally turn the whole paint black.
And there's no
Okay.
amount of white you can add in there.
No.
You'd save money if you just trash the whole batch and then just start it over because you can add
Okay.
like half a bottle of white and then you still got like a dark gray for some reason.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah, so I had
crazy.
ran into that in this last bathroom because it was like it was white with a hue of gray. So
Okay.
what I should have done is use the gray
Gray.
paste. I used black. Took a little dab of, or like literally, I think I had like a tiny wire, and I just one dab on the white. That thing was black gray. I'm like, shit. All right, throw it
Yeah.
out. So
I always tell people if you want a darker color, use your gray. I only use black unless either I need to make my own batch of gray because I ran out of gray, or I'm
Uh-huh.
only using it for black epoxy. So
Right.
because that black,
Right.
like I said, I'm not joking. And one day when you try it, you're gonna find out that black is very potent. So
Uh-huh.
use gray instead of black to darken it up.
Yeah, maybe I'll practice a little bit at the house because I have some scrap leftover tiles from jobs and I have that sitting there. So I was thinking just to get better at it. Because
Mhm.
there's a timeline with that too. You gotta have it all kind of prepped and mixed up, but you gotta get it
No,
all.
not the color. The color, it doesn't matter. You can actually
Yeah.
mix a whole batch of color. It's just, and you can mix a batch of color with the epoxy without affecting it. But as soon as you mix the hardener in there, that's when it's go time. Like you gotta mix it.
Okay, so it doesn't matter hardener or color first. You can get your color set, have your pile, and then you can kind of
So
scoop out and add hardener and just work with that and leave the other
Correct.
pile.
right,
Oh,
and then also the thing that you have to learn is that you mix your color.
mhm.
As soon as you add the hardener, it's gonna get lighter.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, when
So
you add your color
The
to the
hardener's
opaque,
white.
when you add it to that translucent kind of like white, it's gonna lighten up. So mix it a little bit darker. And what I end up doing is because you're gonna do usually epoxy in batches, make a big batch of color, more than you think. And then
mhm.
you take half of that color and you mix it with your epoxy. The reason why is when you run out of epoxy and you need a little bit more, you don't have to fight to get that color match again because you're gonna
Mm,
notice it every time. So you have that second batch of color. Um, and then what I do is I take the epoxy mix with the color and I put it on my finger and I kind of rub it on the tile. After that, you can wipe it immediately off or get a little bit of acetone or denatured alcohol. It'll come straight off. But make sure that
mhm.
that color blends in well. Test in multiple spots, step away, get close, kind of see if you can notice it. Then add
Right.
your hardener. Your hardener will lighten it up just a little bit. At least the
Okay.
SV9 will. But generally, if you have a exact match, you're going to be very, very close to it once you add the hardener.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I wanted to know because I've gotten pretty good at mitering the tile, but I wanted
That's
to learn
always
more about
fun.
that epoxy. But
That's
I
always
enjoy
fun.
it though. It's a pain in the ass too, but I think I don't know the
It's
art aspect of it. It's annoying when you don't get it right, but I really do. When you do get it right and it fits and it looks great, I just love that feeling.
well, see, with mitering, it's funny because like 12 by 24 is cool. If you ever
Hmm.
try to miter anything bigger than that, like I had to miter
Like a
basically
10-foot
what
piece.
a 60. I made her a 63-inch tile.
Hmm.
and you're like this close to the end and it chips.
Oh my god, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
what's nice about that is if it chips a little bit, you can compensate for that a little bit
Yeah,
with the
with
epoxy.
the epoxy, but
Yeah,
it's one of those things where you just want to throw the grinder across the
and
room while it's
yeah.
still on.
and if you're doing that, you're grinding too close to the edge. I always try to leave just a little bit of the factory edge, or at least the square edge out, because your epoxy is going to fill that corner
Hmm.
anyway. And when I just put my thumb on the guard. That's the only time I use a guard on a grinder in all reality. And I
Hmm.
kind of put my hand on the tile and I kind of run it, and you kind of use your hand as a
God,
as a guide, and you just kind of miter all the way down. And then if it's a little thick in some areas, you come back, but you don't want to make a razor edge, because that's where it's going to chip.
Hmm. So this cool thing, I forget what the name of it was, but basically they make this kind of rip fence that attaches to the grinder that
Mhm.
holds it at 45 and it guides down the side of the tile. So you're kind of not freehanding it anymore. Like it just
Oh
runs with
yeah,
the tile and it'll give you a perfectly straight 45 for
yeah,
hand cutting miters of the
yeah.
tile.
That's
yeah,
ideal, but the company I was working for wasn't about to spend money, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
That part that you're talking about comes straight from Italy. I know exactly which one you're talking about
I saw it. I was
because
like, oh, that's
there's
fucking
only
insane.
one, and you look at the price, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Ramondi has
Yeah, I didn't
one.
get that far yet. I just saw it.
Yeah, Ramondi has one that doesn't even need a track or anything. It uses the edge of the tile. It's almost like a rip fence for a circular saw, but it uses
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
grinder.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So that's pretty neat. I actually would definitely invest in that, especially for larger tile.
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, coming from slabs, that's something I would definitely do, because you fuck those up and it's gonna be a lot of money.
Hmm.
$1,000 down the drain. So yeah, like that would be like my scary. Like if you have you, what's the biggest tile you ever touched?
Uh, 24 by 48.
24 by 48. Okay. All right. So then you know the
I
nervousness
haven't
of.
done like the large size ones, but 24 by 48 in showers. Yeah.
So he understands the whole panicking of like you can't fuck this last
I
tile up
got
because I'm
one
not gonna.
tile worth of the fuck
Yeah,
up.
dude, 'cause it's not just like it's not like you have a whole stack of tiles. You have like 9 tiles, and you're just sitting there, you're like, fuck.
Because like for
Every time you have
instance,
to drill a hole, the diverter, it's
oh,
just like
so
it's like
like
surgery.
for me
That template,
was
bro. Template.
Hmm.
template. You can template those. Once you get to bigger tiles, templating is okay. Like
Yeah.
especially like for instance, this last bathroom that I did with the tub, the freestanding tub, it was a corner bench, half wall with a niche
Hmm.
and a curb. So that's like multiple cuts going on one single tile.
Yeah.
So I didn't do what do you call that, a stencil for it. I just kind of like did my thing. But
Hmm.
now looking back at it, I probably would have saved so much more time if I just stencil it, just
Yeah.
straight up stencil it. Because you're sitting there, you're like, all right, I gotta cut more. I gotta cut more. The
Hmm.
curb is too much. It's just a nightmare, dude.
And then you
It
had to learn
was.
how to cut in place, where you install it over the niche, come back and cut
Mm,
the niche back out because of the size requirements.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've done that
That
twice.
that's pretty interesting. I don't have the balls to do that. You gotta so you set it like it's set and dry, and then you take
Hmm.
a grinder to it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, fucking balls.
The
I wonder
reason
how
why
much
you do
those
that
like that's
is,
so scary.
like, if you're cutting like a pretty suspicious cut where you have like a small sliver on the side, you cut if on like a 12 by 24, you can always try to recut it, because sometimes the
Yeah.
thing will pop off. With those 24 by 48s, or like the thin gauge porcelain, the slabs, you don't really have that option. So a lot of the times you just glue it on the wall, let the thin set be the backer and the support for it. And as long as you got good coverage, you can come in and cut it, and you don't have to worry about the edge, cracking off.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
drill your holes, put some relief cuts in there. A cool trick you can do is just like score the glazing just a little bit. So bring the blade deep
Hmm.
enough to score the glazing, and then come back and cut it. That way you don't have to deal with that
I've
chipping.
I've seen that too. Yeah. You just when you have the plunge cut, you can just kind of run it to the top, and then you kind of come back and you finish the cut
Mhm.
after.
Yep. You can also do that with very brittle and like very dry porcelain. Is if you're
Hmm.
noticing you're getting a lot of chips and a lot of cracks, especially on a wet saw, just
Yeah.
set the depth of your wet saw enough to cut the glazing, and then come back, set the depth a little more, and then pass it again.
Mm.
So especially on like, when sometimes customers pay a lot of money for tile, especially if they go to like the tile shop and they're generally shit. So, when you're dealing with that type of tile, you can try to do that cut technique, and that will
Right.
save you a little bit.
Yeah. I do love the sanding blocks, but if you get the cut right on the first time, it saves time. It's still clean.
Well,
It depends on how the chip. If it's
ye-
small chipping, those sanding blocks can honestly get rid of that, and it's nice.
Yeah.
But if they're
so
big chips, you're screwed, especially on
coming
glossy
Yeah.
tile.
from the one guy who does it the best, which is Jose. Jose does those cuts, and he was like 1/8 inch more than what you need. Don't try to play it
Right.
close. 1/8 inch more. You are going to need to sand this thing down. He's like, I've
Uh-huh.
tried to make perfect cuts. I've used every blade in the market. 1/8 inch
Uh-huh.
over what you need.
Oh yeah, because you
Yeah.
can always float with like rapid set, like float the niche and stuff out.
No, he
Yeah.
said
And
that just because you're gonna have to shave, like he said, you get chipping. He's like, so let's say one chip is bigger than the other, and you're
Yeah.
perfectly where you're supposed to be. Now you can't sand that, but if you're an eighth over,
No.
you have a whole eighth of you to sand that edge.
Uh-huh.
Perfect,
Mhm.
Yep.
So he was like,
Oh,
do
okay.
that,
That's smart. Yeah. Just run
and
it
then
right
if
over the
it
top, and then the return comes to it.
right, and then he
Love
said,
it.
especially if you're gonna do miter in. If you're gonna
I
miter
was gonna
in,
say,
do a
Yeah.
1/2 inch.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
he
go a
was like,
1/2
do a
inch in.
1/2 inch, do bigger than what you need if you're mitering it, which is
Yeah.
also another tricky thing because you're mitering a tile that's installed and you can't nick the waterproofing while
Right.
you're doing the mitering.
Mm-hmm.
So on a slab.
I've
So
seen other guys do it, but it just makes me too nervous. I don't know. Like if you screw that up, that's it. It's gotta come off, right? You gotta come
I
off
know
and
that
replace
there's a
it.
whole
Yeah.
process of breaking a tile out. Yeah, no,
And the
I
problem
did
is if you
twice.
installed it right, you're probably tearing that waterproofing out
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the next issue, right? Because I did the ones that I did them in place, and I asked him, I was like, what do I need to know? I'm not scared of making a mistake, but I
Mm-hmm.
need to know the basics. And he was like, okay, follow this. And it made it easier. You definitely need a helping hand because trying to grab a grinder and a vacuum at the same time, I do not recommend doing that. You need a
I
helping
have,
hand.
I have something for that. But if you finish your story, and I'll tell you which I have it in my truck.
So it's have a helping hand to hold the vacuum. That's just
Oh, okay.
and
So they have it's called the Milwaukee Air Tip, and it's basically it looks like a little like dustpan. It has a little pad on it, and it has the live connection for a shop vac. So
Oh yeah, you
it's
stick
got
it
to
to
be
like a
noisy
wall, right?
because the
oh,
vacuum
it
anyway.
sucks onto the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you stick it on the tube, turn the vacuum on, it sucks right to the wall. I mean, you have to keep moving it. So if it's somewhere, if you're doing like a long cut where you gotta, you don't want to stop your cut in the middle and try and start again, then maybe not. But sometimes if I'm working by myself and it's like a finished bathroom when I have to drill for like sheetrock anchors or whatever it is for like anything I'm hanging onto the tile, and I don't want to get all like some tiles that it's like when you cut them, they have like orange almost. Some of them are different colors, and then it stains like the if you grab it already, it's like the
Hmm.
last thing you put on your fixtures. So it's just like you can just stick that on the wall, and it's good for like drilling out. If you have to set anchors before you're attaching something to the wall,
Damn
especially
it,
when people do
Milwaukee.
tile all the way like throughout the whole bathroom. Because that was the one bathroom I did. The tile that was in the shower continued out, and it was floor to ceiling tile. So then, anytime I had to do anything, like if I had to install a toilet paper holder or whatever, anything that went in the wall that would normally be like okay, I'm sitting there, I'm drilling that tile. I'm thinking like you're hitting the drill on it, and if you break through, you don't want to smash the tile and crack
Oh
it.
yeah.
It just everything just takes longer, like when everything's like a full tile floor to ceiling, because you drill holes everywhere after, and they got to be perfect. And if you don't set the, I hate fucking toilet, the little fucking, the flapper one. You have to put two sides on, and they have to be perfect.
Hmm.
And if you fucking drill that tile in the wrong spot, you know what I mean? You can't just move it like a 16th. You know what
Oh,
I
I'll
mean? Like,
modify the mounting bracket. I'll
uh
like
huh.
hack that out and make it like
Well,
oblong so I can
yeah,
move it.
what you can do is take the same very drill and just open up those holes, and it'll give you the cheater for left and right.
And what do you do to
Then
fill so that it doesn't pull out?
it's just
Just
a
use
washer.
I mean, I've got a variety of
No, no, no.
screws. I
You're
just
still
use a
keeping
larger
the
screw.
same holes. You're keeping the
Oh,
same
okay.
holes, but the mounting bracket, you take the same bit and hollow it out more so you can move it left and right.
Ah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Also,
always carry washers with you.
Yeah.
That is smart. Yeah, because they have those stupid little plates that gotta go on first, and then you have that little set screw, and you're sitting there for the end of the day because you
And a
can't
lot of
be
times that
twisting
screw,
around.
it gives you a little bit of play. A lot of times that screw will like torque it out a bit.
Yeah.
So always like push on it. Another thing too, like I use Moen products and Moen always sends you a little template with it. And I'll cut that out, pull it really tight, put it right up against the wall, and like
Yeah.
and I'll mark exactly right there. And I usually get it on the money each time.
Yep. Yep. I just set the laser up, put the
Hmm.
template on the wall, throw a little tape on it,
Use a
and then
punch. No.
yeah.
Right on the top.
Spring loaded punch. Bam. No, I
Sometimes I'll take a little drill bit, make a hole where those marks are, tape it, and then take your
dude,
bulky marker, the dots.
my biggest fear when drilling tile has always been if the drill bit or grinder that I'm using walks. You're starting
Yes.
to dry, and all of a sudden it's like, "Boop," we're up a tile.
Hmm.
Like,
And it's
okay,
always going to be on the high gloss tile too. It's like, and
yeah,
it's matte.
and
Yeah.
it's matte, and we're not gonna polish it. So it's like I have this Milwaukee bits that they have. Remember the one that have multi-use, whatever. So
Hmm.
I'll start with like the smallest one, do a circle, then move to the next one, do a circle, then move to the next one, do a circle, but like not really like crank it in there.
Yep.
And once I
I
got it
have
to the perfect one,
that's part. Yeah. I use the Caladad little. It's not even. It's like it has like the diamond grit on it, and it's a hex bit. So I'll put it in my screwdriver,
Mm.
and I'll just set that
oh
one,
yeah,
and then you can kind of lean right into it. That'll make like a little 1/4 inch hole, and then that'll set you up if you have to drill. Depending on like what I'm hanging, sometimes if it's like a heavy mirror or something, I'll have anchors that support like 50 or 60 pounds per anchor,
Mm.
but they're fat and the holes are like bigger than a 1/4 inch. They're like 3/8 holes that you have to drill to set the anchor inside of. So I get nervous with those bigger bits that they're gonna walk on me. So I'll do the same thing. I'll make a tiny little pilot hole right where I need to be. And if
just
it's
a
like a little
hole.
arrowhead bit, that'll like sit right in that hole for me. I don't have to worry about it running away.
Yeah, so the trick for that actually, because I used to do a lot of glass installs, is they make
Mm-hmm.
these carbide spade tip bits,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they're usually only good for a couple holes. But the glass company that we used to work with would give us a shit ton, and honestly, you can buy them from like AliExpress. You can it's like oscillator blades. You can buy the expensive ones, but they're gonna go out just as fast.
Mm-hmm.
And we generally use those for about 3 holes, and then we would trash the bit because it's not worth breaking the tile. And that has like a really sharp point, and once you dig that into the tile and score it, it's not going to walk. And you
Mm-hmm.
just you bore it out. Those, if you're going to do anchors,
That's
those are
good.
really nice. You don't accidentally wallow it out.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're not used to using like a standard like round bit, and you have to kind of like tip it in. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be my kind of recommendation, especially on like high gloss tile or places where it might be visible if it skips.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to explore that option.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
that's
you know what I'm talking about? I don't know if you saw it because you liked it, and we were talking about the podcast the first time was the back butter jig that I made for tile. And this next bathroom, I'm gonna try and make videos with it. Not bathroom, sorry, the floor I was just telling you about. We were talking about the subfloor. It's gonna be porcelain plank. We had talked about that, so it's gonna be a whole bunch of planks going down the floor, and I'm gonna need to bring a couple of guys with me. But the thing is like if you bring somebody and let's say they're not good at tile, that's kind of why I like this jig because you can kind of set them up with something and then I can just be constantly installing and you can set them up with the back butter jig and have them just running tile through it and you're just the one setting it if you don't trust somebody. Then you can bring help, get the job done correctly, and you don't have to sit there worrying like, no, that's wrong, I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm talking about? The thing I made?
no. I know what you're talking about because he's talking about the jig. You know the jig that they sell in Italy that you can do the trowel lines on the floor.
That's
Oh
what I
yeah.
saw. Yeah, I
Right.
saw
So that's where
somebody
you
use
got
that.
the idea from because
So I
it's like a
saw it.
giant box.
Somebody just used the
Yes.
flat side of the trowel and they like cut the piece of plywood and just stuck it in there and they globbed in thin set and slid tiles through. I saw
Yeah.
that one. That was pretty cool.
What was it?
They just took like a flat side of a trowel and they just cut hole like an angle into like a piece of plywood and they made a jig and they just let the trowel sit in there and they just like slid tile through. It was really weird how like it worked.
Oh yeah, that's what I did, but I didn't use a trowel. I built it to the size tile that I was using, and then right in the front of the box, I just took a piece of plywood, set the tile inside of it, and dropped it down to the top of the tile. pick it up,
Oh.
leave a little gap, and then I just nailed it in. So I have like a permanent, like if I'm using the same size tile, same width, you can use it. And you flip the tile in with the finished side facing down and the side you're going to back butter facing up. And then you just glob your thin set inside of it. And then the wall in the front of it, as it slides through underneath it, it spreads the thin set. But you have to have the next tile ready, and you use that next tile to push that one all the way through, and it transfers the glob onto the next one, so you don't fill up the jig with thin set.
Yeah. Okay.
But it works out. It works out really good, and it's so simple that if you have someone that is like working with you that you don't really trust to really to do it yet with your eyes off of them, you can kind of just set them up with a bucket of thin set, stack the tiles there, and then you could be the one doing the install, and they could just anyone could do it. You could teach them how to use it, and they could just slide tiles, and you don't have to back butter. You're just troweling on the floor, set up a nice little patch that you're gonna install from, and just let them hand them to you and just set them.
But that takes the fun out of yelling at the helper.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be able to throw at least one trowel at him
Yeah.
Yeah.
with thin set, and then make him clean it up. That I was what was I talking about that today with someone about the it was your brother. The trials of becoming a blue collar worker.
Oh yeah.
So, you're gonna get your ass chewed out. It's just whether
It means
especially
they
if like
like you.
yeah, so like for instance, you used to work for your dad said you used to do this, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So how many? So it's worse when it's your own father because now he has pent up anger that he wants to take out on you.
It's like
And
remember when you had to
happen
hold the flashlight? It's gonna be like that like every day.
Yeah, it's like every day as soon as you walk in, like this whole
Fuck you.
situation
That means
is
good
'cause of
morning.
you. Like you are the reason why we are here. So I'm gonna make sure that you feel it, but it's all in love. But I'm still gonna yell at you. Like,
Yep.
so I was talking about that, and it's like a lot of people are being kind of like not. I don't want to say baited, but like they make blue collar look like it's the coolest, greatest thing. They're really pushing it hard on social media. Oh, become a blue collar worker. You're gonna make money, which is all true. However,
They don't
they
tell you about
don't
the
tell you the
bullying you
other
have to
side.
endure.
Like, they're gonna call you.
There is no PC in this world over here.
You know what's funny, Omar? Is after I talked to my plumber about that, he goes, "Does he have soft skin? Is he rugged?" I was like, "Not
That's the
rugged, but he
first
doesn't have soft skin either."
Dude, because it's gonna happen, and like it's all in good intent, right? Obviously, because those ass chewings are the ones you remember.
Because you're gonna
You
get
know.
one of these on a daily basis. Are you fucking retarded? And like me,
Like,
I'm so used to it. I'm not a little bit.
It's like it's like I should have, why did I get stuck with you? Like, so that's one thing that social media lacks is, and I tried to showcase it, right? Like I tried to showcase that me awake at 4 a.m, or me going to sleep at 1 a.m. It's like, oh, this is what it takes. If you want to build your own successful business, if you will, like how many times you go to sleep thinking about an estimate, how many times you wake up to that estimate, how many times you go to sleep like, man, I should have put that screw instead of a nail, or vice versa. Like, and then it just changes you. And like social media doesn't do a good job of showing like, yeah, it's great. You can make good money in the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
But just know it's like just as hard, if not harder than anything else you're going to do in life. Curtain call.
Yeah. Nah,
Going to beat your ass.
No. We're past that now. We love each other again.
We love each other. Oh, that's your dad there?
No. I'm talking. That was my wife that jumped.
Oh,
I thought talking about.
Oh no, because she's because we had somebody in the podcast and the wife was like, "You need to get off now."
That wasn't a podcast.
Oh yeah, I
That was a
thought you were
private call.
Oh, it was a business call, but yeah, the wife was like, "You need to get off this thing right now."
She said it in the nicest way possible, though.
Right, like like a cartoon character that's like about to cry voice. That it was the nicest way of like you just picture like a girl like stomping her feet, kind of like that's how exactly what it sounded like, and we're both like, I don't know whether to laugh or like feel bad. Like,
Most passive aggressive, get the fuck off the call that we've heard.
oh, dude, it was just like, you need to get off of it right now, please. This is ridiculous. Like we're like,
Nah, nah.
okay.
I guess I'm lucky. I'm good on
Well, you've trained her, so after the years, she's realized, okay, this is the life I chose.
that.
He's always fucking working.
He's always fucking working. You'd like, oh, he's probably cheating on me. Meanwhile, it's like you just running numbers or doing an estimate, and it's like your phone's loaded with pictures of construction. It's like
Yep.
I wish it was true, but no, it's that. It's that. But yeah, that social media needs to do better with that and showing the real side of the behind the cameras, if you will, right? Like how many days will come home and you're so tired that you'll pass out at the dinner table if they
It's like
allowed you to.
the business and almost personal, like personal integrates with the business. That's one thing that we got to like try to move on a bit. It's just like, we got to focus on the business side, because the reality is, and it's kind of hard to do that because if you try to show numbers, right, it's the downside. If you show numbers, people like take it and run it and they'll ruin their business. But if you're able to show the business aspect of it, you could see that really the business is just kind of the harder part of the work, especially when you're starting out. So it's like, how do we do that without hurting someone else's company? Because that's what we run into. Like, we refuse to speak pricing on what you should charge, because someone that's in like California or Florida, their pricing is going to be different for someone that lives in bumfuck nowhere, Alabama. So that's a we try to avoid.
It's
but
a
we
buck
definitely
50.
need to show $1.50. That's a universal thing. What does it cost? $1.50, like $1.50 or like $150? I said $1.50.
I also think that like when
Sorry.
it comes to the business, it's like you either work for yourself in the trades or you work for somebody else in the trades. And a lot of those videos are just talking about getting like certifications, and you can get jobs as a tech and do other things. And but if it's just like you're working for yourself entirely, that comes down to a big discipline, the discipline kind of thing, because it's like you can work as hard as you want, but if you're not making the right decisions, like if you're not taking care of your body, if you're not sleeping is a huge one. If you're not good with that and making all the disciplined decisions that you need to make in order to perform and do a good job the next day, even emotionally, if you're just like, I've been in a habit of trying to get my phone like away from the bed at night. You know what I mean? Because I'll just sit there and scroll and I have to sleep, and I end up doing that, and then you realize like, oh fuck, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you get tired the next day. And it's like cleaning up all that little shit because you're on Instagram constantly because you're trying to post and you're watching other people's videos and you're liking stuff, whatever. And then the time goes by, and then the next day you're all tired and shit. And it's just like you kind of have to be able to clean that up, have that mental discipline to just kind of be in a routine and do the right thing every day, outside of just being able to do a good job and know what you're doing. But if you're working for yourself, there's literally like, no one's here to get your ass out of bed and call people back and follow up, and all these things kind of pile up. And that's another thing people don't really think about. Everybody thinks like if you work for yourself, it's everything's all great, you get to make your own schedule, do whatever you want. But if you don't do it, it's not going to happen. And learning to trade is hard enough.
I said that on a couple podcasts before. It's like the journey of entrepreneurship, right, is gaining control of your time, but you're also giving away your freedoms because now you're busy all the goddamn time. And as you progress in the companies and your business grows, you're taking that money and control and literally buying your time back by giving it to other people. So essentially you'll end up in that. So it's like this whole journey of just literally getting your time back. You got all full control of your time, but you're not free. So like people are like, oh, I'll be able to schedule my own things. I'll have weekends off. I'll go to the beach. Like, no, you
bullshit.
No, you won't.
That was the biggest lie I was sold when I started my company, bro. Like, yeah, you get to create your own schedule. You have a shit ton of money, and I'm like, bullshit.
It's over. So like
if I get a rough 2 weeks where I don't got work, I'm like, well, I guess this is vacation. I haven't had a vacation in months, so let's do
like
something
today.
before work pops up.
Today I was not forced, but like it was too damn hot to tile. And if you ever tiled in the heat, like real heat,
Mhm.
that thin set is gonna set on you before you can
My
put that
man's in New
tile down.
York talking about real heat. Shut up.
All right, here we go.
80-degree
anyway,
heat wave. fucking fuck you.
regardless, anything above 70, the thin set's gonna set up. So I took the day off. We went to the pool, and like you've worked so much that when you take those days off, it feels weird. Like you feel out
Yeah.
of place.
Yep.
Like you can't connect with people. You can't even talk to them because you're like I
Your
should
brain
be
just thinking
slapping
about that.
tiles.
Yeah.
You know what I
See,
mean? And now you're like, how much more time is this going to add today? You know what I mean? It's hard to be in the moment.
and see, I'm trying to get better at that where like because I rarely get time off, that when I do get time off, it's like I need to be off. Like I need to be a family because I used to have an issue and I still kind of do occasionally where I'm so backed up with like work and stuff where like I'm off and I'm with family, but I'm like I'm on the computer, I'm on my phone, or I'm like I'm doing work. And like it's just I'm trying to get better at just like when I'm off, take the time to be off. Because
Like turn your brain off.
there's no point in like if you work in your time off, are you really off? I mean, I always used to make the joke where if like, office work is time off, right? If I'm not in the field, it's vacation, but I'm at home, running spreadsheets, running estimates, sending invoices. I mean, I'm still working. So, it's like trying to actually take the time off, which is good for you. So you don't burn yourself out and then you hate yourself, a year down the road when you hate your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That goes
and
like
then that's
good.
the most famous question. I just saw it right now on my phone is like, how do you guys deal with work life balance? Like that you don't. That doesn't exist. Like
It teeter
that's like
totters.
that's that. It's like I use a lot of cocaine. That's how I balance things. No,
Oh, jeez.
so it's like
Bunch of
uppers and
caffeine.
downers, bunch of caffeine. But it's there's no such thing as work life balance. There isn't. It's
Caffeine and
like
nicotine. It's,
if
the
you
blue
really
collar
like what you do and you really
supplements.
work, you're gonna put in the most you can into it, right? You
Mhm.
like it. It's
Yeah.
producing good positive. So I guess the idea of work life balance is like it's called like the dream, right?
Mhm.
Chasing the dream.
Mhm.
There's no really explanation of what the dream is, but that doesn't exist. You just literally
Because
just
you
keep
never get it.
going.
Because every time you
No.
get a little bit better, like you go to the gym, right? You work out, you see yourself in the mirror every day. So you don't really see, but somebody who hasn't seen it a bit, they might notice after a couple of months go by, but you never really see it. The same
Mm-mm.
thing with work, the same thing with making money. You'll never be like, oh, I'm good now. Because if it's built up
Mm-mm.
over time, it doesn't feel new. So you're
Yeah.
used to it as you're climbing and you're always chasing more.
Well, it's good to take a step back in those moments too, which I've
You gotta
done
think
that
about
where
it.
it's like I think I'm doing so bad, but I step up and I'm like I'm making like 3 times as I was the year before. I'm
Mhm.
I'm making significantly more than the year before. My profits are higher. My income is lower. I just bought a truck and 2 trailers in the last year cash. Just out on a whim. So you got to kind of look at it that way. Um,
That's the discipline. You got to put the
yeah.
money back into it.
But like you said, you're so hyper focused on the work that when you look at the account, you're like, okay, I got to keep going. I'm not doing shit. And then when you step back,
Mhm.
biggest thing for me is I have like a bookkeeper now, and she sends me like an updated P&L personal video each month. And
Mhm.
she'll tell me, she's like, you made 60% over year over year compared to last year. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a big jump. So she kind of keeps me updated on the financial side. So like, I'm not so hyper focused on the moment that I can go,
Mhm.
okay, I'm not doing as bad as I thought.
Mhm.
I'm over here thinking I'm struggling, but I'm doing, 3 times better than I was last year at this moment.
Right.
So
Right.
A good indicator too, and all of us here have had this moment, is when you talk to somebody who doesn't have their own business and you tell them like, yeah, man, I just eight
you
thousand
speak all
dollars I
French
just
to them.
dropped on this trailer. They're like,
Uh-huh.
you had $8,000 to go drop on a trailer? Like, yeah, I had to get it. I need it for the job. They're like, $8,000. You had
Mhm.
that? Like,
Mhm.
yeah. And they're like,
Mhm.
how?
Yeah.
And that's when it
Yep.
hits you like, oh
Well,
shit.
especially when you had to tell them, it's like you didn't just have $8,000. You're like, I needed enough money spare to get this trailer so I could still
Right. So
operate my
yeah, it's
company.
like I had spare $8,000. Not my company. My company has more. We had spare $8,000 to invest into this trailer. And then
Yep.
when you tell them numbers like that and you're like, yeah, I got this bathroom going on 15, 20, 40,000, and you see their eyes just open up, then you realize like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I've
You're
burned
so
some friends
focused
like
on
that
winning.
actually.
Mm.
I've started to notice that where I don't talk numbers within like close personal friend groups because it
Yeah.
tends to sometimes taint your friend group because you know what money, especially when you're like this amount of money that some people work a decent amount of time to get,
Mhm.
and then it kind of like creates this awkward relationship in your friendship. But at the same token, you're looking at it and you're like, I need this to progress. And for me, especially about I pay myself. I pay myself. I'm not going to say the amount I pay. I pay myself just enough to pay my bills per month. Everything else
Right.
I throw back into the company because right
Mhm.
now I'm going to push this company until something fails. If this company goes tits up, you know, I didn't lose any money. That's the goal. I'm going to push it until I can step away from it. So when you're actively investing that much time and you're sacrificing your own salary, you're sacrificing personal luxury, you're sacrificing, you know, all these, you know, nice things you would normally buy for yourself to throw into your company to go into this.
Mhm.
They don't see that. They just see, okay, I dropped $8,000 on a trailer. Right.
Mhm.
So that's where
No,
it can kind
that's
of taint some relationships. And
Nobody
even
realizes how much those things cost.
yeah.
You know, I
right.
bought a
And they
trailer,
also
like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then they find out that it was 8, 10, whatever, how much you have to pay for it. And it's just like, then that's when the wheels start turning. I think it's a good idea not to share it to anybody. Not that anybody's like
Mm.
super rich or not, but you don't know who's making what. And I just always feel like it's always better to just kind of
yeah.
keep it simple
Yeah, not
and not
everybody
talk
likes
about
that conversation because
it. Yeah, they don't.
Not
it's
everybody's
also hard
ready for
too.
that conversation.
Right. The thing that I've learned is that not everybody wants to push the limits. That's what it
Mhm.
is. Not everybody wants to put because that could be applied in any aspect of what we do, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's pushing for more jobs, pushing for more money, or pushing for advancement. We're always trying to push that limit. Like just when you think you're comfortable, like, no, we got to push past that. And
Mhm.
when you talk to people who are okay having a regular 9 to 5 job and just regular stuff, which is fine, you can be that person. But when you have conversations with that circle, like you said, it kind of taints it because they look at you like, oh, look at this greedy bastard. That all he cares about is money, and that's all he ever talks about. And it's like you don't understand. Like, I have to. I need to be in that circle, otherwise, this is going to fail.
Mhm.
Like,
You got to risk it all,
so it's
man.
hard. Yeah, I mean, it's either go in. I just can't live with myself knowing if I could have. Like, I have enough of those in my life now that I could have, should have, and I hate that. That scares me the most, more than dying. To me, laying on the bed and looking up and being like, man,
I could
so
have did
many
better.
missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the same.
Versus
Push it
me
until
laying.
failure, right? Push until
Right.
failure. Once you realize you've overstepped your boundaries or you pushed your business too far, that you made a mistake. Hopefully, it's not one that puts you out of business, but now you can step back and learn from it.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
because if you're just like I said, if you're just comfortable in this, then you never really progress, if you will. So if you're
Right.
putting yourself in this constant state of risk, which I feel like I'm doing, where like you know I don't have money exactly saved aside. Everything's kind of thrown back in. The only amount of money that I keep in is I have a full-time installer and I pay him. That's like the only guaranteed money that goes, you know, that cycles through my company. And yeah, like I'll sacrifice paycheck for me. I mean, I pay myself, you know, for bills. I can pay my bills out. I'm like, all right, you know, I got a beer tab of this much of allowance for the next 3 months, and that's it. You know, you gotta, and
Mhm.
sometimes you
No,
gotta give that up.
no, you can't. The only thing we can't give up is the ramen noodle allowance. Like
That's
that has to stay.
They're talking about the beer.
No, the beer can come and go, but the ramen noodles
no. You
that's
shut your mouth. All right, beer's the only thing that's keeping me from hurting somebody on the job site.
no, because it's
That's the
like
backbone
as
of my
long as
company. All right.
That's good that you have a beer. What do you call that? A bar across the street, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
they keep me in
but no,
business.
like in your company, right? Like since you're starting to tackle more projects, do you feel that you're still on the early stages of your company, or
Me,
yeah, like are you like,
I,
do I need to hire somebody stage? Like
I, I
where are
did, I did, I did for a little bit. I got to do like a little like test run.
you?
There was a guy that I got introduced
Instantly
to,
looks down.
and I I the guy that I got introduced to, and he was moving, and he was like, I just need work for like a month or two, and I was kind of dabbling with that thought. I was like, oh, this works out perfect, and I hired him, and we worked together for about 2 months before he moved, and that taught me a lot because if you really got to be, I get nervous with that. You have to be ready to like have someone work for you, especially talking full
Yeah.
time, because like if you don't have the work for them, like you have to pay them first. Like you can't hire somebody and not pay them. So it's like if you come up short on the job, or you screwed something up, or something, or they screwed something up, you have to cover, and they don't have the money to cover it. There is some risk in there, and obviously you can like teach people, but then I'm kind of worried about like you teach them everything, and then they go and they do the wrong thing,
Yeah.
or
Or they
you
leave
end up
and
paying
take with
them.
that information, so you never get your investment back on that time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I think it's something that I need to do. I can get help. I don't have a full time person that I'm working with, but I can reach out to it's basically like my wife's unofficial stepdad. He's not her stepdad, but he works in construction his whole life, and he basically knows like a whole bunch of guys that like if I need to do flooring, if I need to do whatever, so just tell him, and I'll be like, I need a guy that can work with me on this day to do this, and then he'll be like, okay, give me, and then he'll call somebody, and I'll get introduced to. I don't send anybody to anybody's house, and so far, the guys that I've worked with him, like, I've never had an issue with anybody. They've all been good guys. But I can get help for like a day or two here, but that full time thing, I don't think I'm there yet. One, because I would be giving them all my money. But if I have a big job, I could still get the help and get that taken care of.
See, this situation recently fell into my lap. The goal was at the end of this year to be able to hire somebody full time. Unfortunately, and fortunately enough for me, I found somebody that was very good, trustworthy. He does good work, and I was kind of using him as a sub, working when I can. That way, when I have work, I can send it out to him, but he's still responsible for finding his own work and paying his own bills. He eventually got fed up with working with other people. And while we were actually out in coverings in Atlanta, he told his last contractor to basically go fuck himself, and that he was no longer going to work with him. And he was like, I work with you full time now. So that responsibility kind of fell into my lap. And Omar vouched for this. I've always had this fear. Like you said, when you take on the responsibility of having a full-time worker, you're now supporting another person and potentially another family. So you have to find this work. And, it's kind of one of these situations where like it's a good opportunity. So I can either give this up and potentially lose this, or baptism by fire. And I got to find fucking work. So we eventually established like somewhat of a salary that he needed with like bonus incentives. And I got to find work. And it's becoming hard because I still get leads coming in, but I don't have a consistent workflow back to back. So it's always like, I got to find something.
That's exactly it.
So it's, it's not exactly how I planned it, but that's how it is now. And I got to roll with the dice, man. That's the cards I've been dealt. And now I got to, figure it out as I go. And luckily the guys run a company before, so he kind of understands. But he knows at the end of the day that if I say I'm going to pay him, he's going to get paid. He doesn't have to worry about me being like, and then, not showing up and not paying him.
The salary option, that's pretty much the way to go, because if I get, let's say I get a background ticket a couple of weeks, or even a lineup, I might be getting 2 back to back. I'm gonna have to put a bid in on them. But let's say you get the work and you're hiring a guy and he's working for you every day, and that's great. And then that work kind of stops, and then you kind of have like a couple of days of work here or there. You're doing like a smaller job here, over there, and it's just like, if you don't have that consistent work, you can have the salary option where it's just like, if you're not working that day, at least they know they have a guaranteed income. Because if you don't give them that option, and you're trying to do like a daily rate kind of thing, where it's like we just work the whole month, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and then it kind of drops down, because that's how it is for me. It fluctuates. I'm either really busy or I'm dead. It's like really like in between kind of thing. So like when it drops off, it's just like, if you kind of have to pay them even if you're not working with them, if you want to secure that full-time deal.
Exactly.
If you want it, otherwise it's got to be like on their schedule, where you're scheduling with them. You can't just be like, hey, we're working this day,
Yeah.
and expect them to come, and but also be like, oh, I'm paying you by the day, so we're off for the next 3 days in a row, and then
Yeah.
next week we're only working 2 days. You can't expect them to hang around.
Well, it's reliability. So at the end of the day, if you can't rely, like if you work for somebody, they're not reliable and they don't produce work, you got mouths to feed, you got bills. You're not, I wouldn't stay with that person. So I got to figure things out. I mean, luckily for me,
Right.
I've got stuff like I got a storage unit. We always got to build storage. I got a trailer that we got to finish building out. And we got a bunch of miscellaneous stuff we can do to float me. And I with him, I kind of have a little bit of a buffer. So let's say I have a bad month, and if I've got to eat, a month or so, or eat a half month of his pay, I have that money to float myself. But luckily, we've come to the kind of conclusion where it's like, all right, we might have 2 bathrooms. We're trying to average about 2 bathrooms a month, which is, the salary that I pay him is roughly how much you would charge for 2 standard bathrooms. So I was like, we win some and we lose some, and we have a bonus, a performance incentive. We have a big bathroom at the end of the month. We'll look at the profit and loss, and I'll apply a bonus. And again, when you have someone that's been in a business and they understand that, I'm very fortunate enough to have somebody that's like that. That's generally not the case with people, but I can be like, all right, this is X amount base salary. I can give you, X amount as a bonus because, we did a bigger job with herringbone, or we knocked this out twice as fast. We can, that's where I've lucked out on that. But you still have those cases where, all right, we might do really good one month, but next month we only get half the work, but you made, like time and a half last month. So it kind of balances out. So that kind of works to my advantage, but I still try to keep a minimum no matter what. Even if we have no work, this is what you're going to get paid. So, because as soon as once you show that you're not reliable, just any other person that has a family to support and mouths to feed, they're gonna drop you, and you can't blame them for it.
Right. Yeah, the guy that was working with me, he had a wife and a kid too. So same thing. I was like, I can't sit here and be like, sit around and wait for me.
It's a big responsibility, man. I mean, to me, that's like, all right, now I've got to provide for me. I support my family with the money that I make. So in my mind, I'm like, I got to support my family and someone else's family. Like, it's a lot of people that are relying on you. It's not just, it's like I said, it's a big responsibility.
That's stress. You got to be able to manage it. Otherwise,
now, one thing that I think we could all agree on is we can worry about leads all day long, right? But when we stop worrying about leads and we go to work, they come. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like I have conversations with Jeremiah. I'm like, that's it, closing down shop. We're gonna have to sell all the tools. The phone's not ringing. We're done.
Something comes last minute.
We're done. Yeah. And then 2 months later, it's like, you're gonna come to New York because I can't handle the amount of flow that I have right now. Like, it literally got to that point. It went from like 0 to 12.
Feast or famine. That's the best explanation that we've ever had for this work. It's either you got absolutely nothing, or someone's calling you like, when you're available, and I'm like 2 months out, and they're like, yeah, no, that won't work. I had to turn down 4 people like that, and not too long ago, I had absolutely no work. So it's like it sucks either way, but it's just stress inducing.
In your area, Lee, like, how do you advertise? Like, how do you get to work?
Instagram, word of mouth.
Really?
Instagram.
I've only had 2 customers who reached out to me on Instagram.
I'm not saying it's great, but it's actually starting to pick up, and it's mainly not because of like random people. It's just like I've been hit up by people I went to high school with. I've been hit up by my friends, and or they'll say, oh, there's a buddy of mine will hit me up. People that I know from the gym that just like follow my account. When I keep posting constantly, or if I post something new or whatever it is, people will see it, and a lot of times they'll just hit me with a DM and be like, oh, I know somebody who needs this. I got the bathroom that I did in Morristown, the older style home, was the same thing. I got that job. A guy I used to work out with in the gym years ago, and he follows me, and he saw me posting. He gave my number to another guy about my age, and I went and I put an offer on it, and I got that job. So it's not all the time. A lot of it is word of mouth, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm getting repeated work from the same customers. So that usually feels good too. You know what I mean? So I do have a handful of people that will like, how you become someone's guy, where it's like they like it. So I'm not calling anyone else ever again. You're my guy. I have a couple of people.
That's because you built that trust.
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah.
just like, some like I have a customer like that now where I've done good work and they know I'm not going to screw them and fuck them over, so they don't mind paying a little bit extra. In some cases, not even accepting another bid. They're just like, tell us your price, and if we can't afford it, we'll be back in a couple months when we saved. And those are nice customers to have.
Yeah,
So,
and then they always recommend you. So I mean, some things fall through, but typically it's just word of mouth and
so you don't
just
have any like
trying to.
paid advertisement?
No, I want to start getting into that.
Awesome. So I'll tell you, at least my bread and butter and about 98% of my leads, and it's very region specific. It doesn't even work for Omar. I use Nextdoor. It's like a drama Facebook page for neighborhoods.
I've heard of Nextdoor.
I advertise a lot on Nextdoor, and about 98% of my leads come from Nextdoor. And what I do is I advertise on there and I reroute them to my website, and I could see that through Wix. It'll let me know that, okay, they came through Nextdoor or they came through a direct link. And I know I'm the only place I put direct links is on Nextdoor. And then they'll fill out a contact form.
Could you walk me through that in like a nutshell? Like how would that work? Like how does it advertise? Is it like you pay them a certain amount of money and then they send out your stuff kind of thing?
So, okay, there's a couple layers to it. First, you have to create a personal profile on Nextdoor. Do not advertise your company on, or at least you shouldn't, because you risk getting your account banned on the personal profile. So create your personal account. What you can do is you can reshare videos from your business account. So you're going to create a business account, post all your stuff there, and you can reshare it from your personal. That won't get you banned. But if you're trying to advertise your business under your personal name over there, that gets you flagged by Nextdoor. Once you do that, pictures over there, whenever someone types your company name or types at your company name, it'll automatically tag them in on the comments. They can click it, view your profile, fill out your profile. You can start running ads after that. So run ads. You just get like a picture on there, a brief description, and they give you a couple options on, do you want them to the button to call you? Do you want the button to go to the website? What do you want it to do? After that, you set a budget and a range, or you can target zip codes. So what I target zip codes mainly. And what I do is I go to the U.S. Postal Service's website, and you can look at the routes in the neighborhood and find out the average income of these neighborhoods and zip codes. And what I do is I target 100,000 and up. Yeah. Dude, I'm tactical with it. 100,000 and up is my minimum. And I'll type in those zip codes, and I've got a spreadsheet of zip codes that I target in order on how I want to target it. And I advertise that on Nextdoor. And, you can go with a radius. But that's going to be dependent on your address. So if you don't want to advertise in your specific area, you have to go via zip code.
Well, before you get all crazy, like, is Nextdoor even viable for you?
Yes.
No, I'm talking about Lee.
How would I know if it was or wasn't?
Well, when you go,
Yes,
when you like right now, you have Nextdoor, right?
I don't. I've heard of it, but I don't have one. So I'll look into it.
So download it, create a personal profile, because Nextdoor is I think it's still in its infancy stages, right? It's not really like huge. I think kind of like Facebook thing, but so you have to be.
But it's been around for at least 5
It's been
or 6
around,
years.
but it's starting to catch up. Like for my area, you have to like. It was kind of weird to get into a neighborhood because that's how it works. It's based on neighborhoods.
And not all neighborhoods are registered with Nextdoors. If you're a brand new neighborhood, especially like a new construction neighborhood, you actually have to claim your neighborhood over there, which works out because then you become a neighborhood administrator, which if you're an asshole administrator, you can delete other people's posts.
It's kind of messed up, but
I know that for a reason because people deleted my shit.
Download a Nextdoor, surf through it, see what you get. Because like when you surf through my Nextdoor, it's like, oh, I saw this pretty little bird. These caterpillars are killing us. Did you guys see the moon? And it's like it became a Twitter. Yes.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit for old women and old people. Really, it's just a bunch of drama. But occasionally, you find people in there that want to do work.
It's technically like a Twitter.
Yeah,
that's
the best way to explain it.
It's like a Twitter. It's an app, but if used properly, like in his neighborhood, you'll see people posting, "Hey, I'm looking to get my bathroom done. Give me recommendations."
Yep.
Kind of
and
like
you get
Facebook.
ranked on there too. So you'll see like likes, and that does correspond with that. And what's nice is if someone from another neighborhood shares it, now your information shows up in that neighborhood. So there's I could talk to you on this because I use it a lot. but there's a bit of a science to it, and you got to treat it like social media. If you constantly post and repost it and tag out other people, use hashtags. Not a lot of people use hashtags because when you do hashtags, anytime in my area, if you look up tile, bathroom, renovation, remodel, all of my content shows up, and it's like, me, competitor, me.
So is it like social media with the algorithm, except it's more like locally based? So if you, like you said, you're posting for your area, well, people like someone from for example, California won't see it. It would be
No,
someone
No.
in
it'll be
your
based on neighborhood. It's based on
It's
neighborhoods
not
and
it's
zip
not like
code.
Instagram in that sense. It's just gonna
Correct.
be
No,
like
no,
you
no.
said.
What I'm saying is like when you go into the app, it's kind of like Twitter because you scroll through it as if you're scrolling through like social media, like Facebook. You're
Yeah,
scrolling through it, you
yeah,
see all that. That's next door.
yeah.
But
Okay.
it's more like for people asking for like, I need a dump trailer. I need to have something hauled away. Or and like I said, it all depends. In your area, are people using it as a Twitter or are they actually using it for what